Are you missing out on possible referrals and revenue sources because of your lack of car knowledge? Well, let's talk about that today. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from Detailer's Helper, and today I'm going to shoot this a little bit differently. I'm out here in my shop. The reason I'm shooting this in selfie mode right now is so you can get an idea of what I'm working on. I just spent the last 2 weekends pulling this motor out of my Denali. Denali had about 210,000 miles on it, still does, and it's going through a little bit of a challenge with one of the cylinders, so it meant pulling the entire motor out, doing a cam swap, which I'm right in the middle of. Forgive the mess behind me. I've been pulling this motor out, like I said in the intro, so I've got stuff absolutely everywhere. The reason I'm out here in the shop is because I wanted to talk to you about car-related items. Not necessarily anything detail related, but sort of getting an idea of what your knowledge is of cars and possible problems, and creating a bit of a revenue and referral source if you can come up with a cooperative agreement. So here's how I would explain it. Basically, if you work on vehicles like this, we constantly see tons of vehicles coming in and out of your shop. And unless you're one of the detailers that basically is taking direct delivery from the dealer and doing PPF, doing new coatings and all that stuff, but all the vehicles are new, then you're probably going to deal with cars that are at least a couple years old, sometimes even older, 4 or 5 years old, may have some mileage on them, and sometimes those cars will come in with some issues. Give you an example. I had a car come in that had a terrible brake squeal, and so I was able to sort of crawl underneath there, look at the brakes, and I could tell that the brake pads were completely worn out. So that's a safety concern for them. So I pointed it out to the lady, and then she ended up having the brakes done. So that's one example of me spotting, knowing what's going on, hearing the brake squeal, knowing what's happening, and be able to diagnose that and then forward them on to someone else. Now in this case, I didn't have a mechanic or a brake shop that I had a cooperative agreement with. So I just sent her and I said, hey, just use the brake shop here in town and they can take care of it. But here's where the revenue and referral source comes in that case. So if I have a mechanic in town that I have a good relationship with, you may have to seek that out if you don't already have one, then I can send customers specifically to him. But by having that relationship, it gives me an opportunity to do a value add for my services to my customer, because then they have one less problem that they need to worry about finding a vendor, finding a good mechanic, finding a brake service, finding an oil change place, whatever it happens to be. But it also helps them and helps the service provider that I'm sending them to, which can be a revenue source if you set up some sort of kickback situation where they pay you for a certain percentage of what the business they receive from you and vice versa, or just a referral service so that they know a detailer in town, so that when they get that question or if they notice a scratch on a car or whatever, then they can send them back to you. So here's what I would do. I would sort of think through who you know already, and then seek people out in order to come up with these cooperative arrangements. So basically you would have like brake services, quick lube places, tire places, generalized mechanics. If you don't do tent or PBF, obviously you should have those agreements and relationships already. But then go talk to each one of those guys and see what they may be interested in terms of, all right, what referral program can we do? Can the customer get 10% off if they're referred directly by this person that may require some referral cards, or just a generalized referral? They know to send people to you. I would try to make it worthwhile, and then vice versa. Do the cooperation, the cooperative agreement, so that you're sending customers to them, they're sending customers to you. So some other ways to sort of spot this stuff to help your customers would be to, I don't know, just pull the dipstick out and see what the oil looks like. If it's really, really black and dark, then you know they need an oil change, or they've been avoiding that. Look at their tire tread to see what's going on there. You might just peek in the rotors if you can see them. Look at the brake pads, see if those things are worn out. That's pretty obvious stuff. Transmission fluids the same way. If it stinks, if it's real dark, then you know it needs to be replaced. And any of those kind of things, to me, it sort of falls into that cabin air filter thing, but then it's usually services that you're A, not insured for, or B, unqualified for. So I don't think most of us want to be doing oil changes and tire changes and tire rotation and all that kind of crap in our shops. And so that's probably not a good idea, but you need someone that you can send them to. So what that starts to do is it starts to continue to solidify your relationship with your customer. It gives them, like I said, a value add. And it also shows your knowledge of the car industry and cars in general goes far beyond just wiping dashes down and putting tire shine on it. So that can really help with your customer service part of it. And you may be able to get a ton of new referrals if you can sort of solidify that relationship with those shops. So I think that's a great way to go. I think that you should think about looking at that, seeing what opportunities might be out there. And if you just have crappy car guy knowledge, car girl knowledge, Barry McGuire calls all people car guys, which is cool to me. Car Crazy Central banner in the background. If that knowledge is a little bit weak, that's no big deal. You didn't come born knowing how to use polishers and knowing how to do all this stuff with details, so you can learn this stuff. Either go hang out with some car people and see if you can learn some of that stuff. Go hang out with some of these shops, see if you can learn some of that stuff, or just YouTube. Stuff like how to check for brake wear, what tire wear looks like, how to check for oil, how to check for transmission. You know, glass is another one. Making a relationship with the Safe Light guy in town or whatever if they have cracked glass or bulbs out or headlights out or whatever. The lists, you know, and things that go wrong with cars is pretty huge. So look at all those different opportunities. Go to YouTube, learn some of this stuff. You don't have to be able to sit and rebuild a whole engine in order for this to work out. It may help you recognize some of those things if you have a little bit better knowledge, but it's not 100% necessary. I hope that helps. Go have those conversations. I'm Kevin Davis doing what I do so you can do what you do better. Have a great day.